I'm always driven by a desire to explore language and see what the limits of language are and what the different ways you can express something. It normally comes out of an enjoyment of words, and that's my starting point. And if something, as you go through it, you start to see meanings occurring as you inevitably do, then that's something you can play with. Submarine, the story is essentially of a 15-year-old boy called Oliver who is strange and obsessive and reads the dictionary. He starts to think that his mum is having an affair with this capoeira instructor, and in the book he kind of stalks this guy and takes it on himself to solve his parents' marriage, and eventually takes things too far.
My parents have not had sex for 7 months. I've been monitoring their intimacy via the dimmer switch in their bedroom.
At the same time he's doing the other teenage things of being in school and trying to get a girlfriend and lose his virginity.
The house is empty on Thursday evening.
Are you asking me to come round and have sex with you?
If I say yes, is that less than the chance of you wanting to?
I never think of myself as a comic writer. I never set out to be a comic writer is what I mean. But I'm just drawn to it. If I've got a character who I like, usually I like them because they're flawed in some way. And they're flawed hopefully in a lovable way, but they're still ripe for having the mickey taken out of them.
To us, and a wonderful evening of lovemaking.
You're a serial killer.
I like a damaged person, and I often find there's something to laugh at in a damaged character. So it always feels like, you know, there's something truthful behind the joke. I wrote a short story that was in this 15-year-old boy's voice, and it just felt very lively and authentic in a way that my other writing before that hadn't been. And so I thought, all right, I'll write another short story about Oliver. So I wrote another story, and then I wrote another one. And eventually I was like, something is happening here. This is not short stories anymore. And so I started to kind of sew the stories together. And eventually, after 40,000 words, I realised I was writing a novel. As it was semi-autobiographical, I'm drawing on a lot of my childhood growing up in Wales, and my parents are a little bit in them. You just choose the most interesting details and try and squish it together into a convincing story. Yeah, so Wild Abandon, my new novel, is set in a commune in Wales, and it's about the family who started up the commune. Essentially, when we start the story, it's been 20 years, the commune's been very successful, but at this point, the two founding members, Don and Freya, who are married, their marriage is defunct. Albert was talking as he milked. So she has this massive picture of what's at the centre of the universe, and it's basically a pair of eyes, two huge, evil eyes. I wrote Submarine in the first person, and I wrote this one in the third person perspective, so all the skills that I needed for Wild Abandon were fresh, and it didn't help. Nothing I'd learned from Submarine was useful again. I don't see a great difference between writing in different formats. You know, like there's poetry, and then there's more performance-based things, and then there's writing short stories, and there's writing novels, and they have different skills, but they're still all writing. I see them as helping each other, and in a way, there's like a kind of recycling process. Hopefully all good things will find a home eventually.